Hello and welcome again to my channel. I am now holding a copy of this book in Norwegian, Gutten I den strippete pyjamasen, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Here you have Gutten and Gut, a boy. Gutten, the boy. A lot of the differences between Norwegian and English, and it really requires somebody who understands grammar and who really has taken the time to learn a language properly to explain these things. And why am I saying this? I have had the pleasure to meet people from several different countries, and often enough people communicate in broken English when they come to Norway. They don't have a lot of experience communicating in English, but that's the only language that they somewhat can communicate in, and they use that language for many years sometimes, and they never learn Norwegian. Others make an attempt to learn Norwegian, but they don't go deep enough into the grammar and into how the language is supposed to be used. And they end up mixing dialects. They end up mixing nynorsk and bokmål. They end up writing sentences with mistakes that are really gross mistakes in the language. And by gross, I don't mean like yuck. I mean gross as in mistakes that are not acceptable. Perhaps the Norwegian they speak is good enough for them to communicate, but they don't understand the grammar. I do have an accent when I speak Norwegian, and at points I might get a little nervous and stutter a little bit, or perhaps use the wrong word here and there, but I do have a better understanding of the grammar than somebody who didn't take the time and the discipline to really study the language. And here, just in the title, there's so much that you can explore. I den strippete pyjamasen. This form of the adjective here, strippete, with the E in the end, that is for the plural for adjectives, and also for this form when you put the noun in this form, pyjamasen, not just any pajamas, but the striped pajamas. Den strippete pyjamasen. So this "an" in the end, where in English you would say the pajamas. You would put the before pajamas. Here "an" comes in the very end, and it's all together in the word. These are subtleties of the language that people will learn if they go to school, or maybe they don't go to school to learn it, but they sit and really take the discipline to learn. There are lots of people who say, oh, I'm learning Italian on the internet, I am learning German on the internet. They sit there a couple of times and they read a couple of things, and then they go on and start looking at their Facebook pages or start doing something else, and they don't really focus. To learn a language on your own, you need to sit. If you really are going to do it on your own, you need to sit and you need to listen and you need to write. You need to write. You need to speak. You need to understand spoken language, and you need to understand written language. There are 4 abilities in the language: listening, speaking, writing, and reading. Here is where I think it's so important for students who either have a difficulty understanding the book in its original language, which is English, to pick up a copy in Norwegian as well, and maybe read both. And for those who don't have any difficulties understanding English, but if they want to deepen their knowledge in the English language and perhaps study a little bit of the translations made, that is a very, very interesting way of learning more about a language, looking at the translated versions of it. And this is my tip. If you speak Norwegian as your first language, reading both versions in English and in Norwegian could really be helpful. I said a lot more before, but my video got somehow lost in my YouTube, so I had to make this other video, and I don't think I said as much as I did in the original.